Hello everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to answer some viewer questions, or actually the most common viewer question that I've gotten, and address my experience with both the branded GLP-1 Zepbound Mounjaro and compounded Tirzepatide from telehealth providers. We're going to do a comparison and a contrast and tell you what I think. Is there a difference? Does it matter? Let's see. My name is Christopher Durham, and this is the Downsized. Please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It helps the channel, it helps us grow, and we deeply appreciate it. If you haven't been to the Downsized yet, this is my opportunity to talk about our healthcare journey, our weight loss journey on those GLP-1s, hopefully provide some value to you, build a community, and hopefully do something good. Today, let me tell you about where I am. I'm down 62 pounds since beginning my weight loss journey on September 29th of this past year, so 2023. I've averaged over the course of that time about a 10-pound weight loss, but my first month was outstanding. My starting weight was 285.4 pounds. The first 4 weeks of injection, so that first month, I used a 2.5 milligram dose, just where everybody else starts, of Tirzepatide that we got from the telehealth provider, Ivim. Ivim supplied it from the compounding pharmacy, Hallandale Pharmacy. And honestly, I had great results. So far exceeded my average of 10 pounds and was down 17.8 pounds with very few side effects. Results vary. Some people don't see any impact from that 2.5 and it takes a little while. For me, it worked great. No complaints whatsoever from the compounded. But there was a little bit of nagging concern over compounding. The news was out there buzzing, going, it's not safe. There's all these things going on. At the same time, Eli Lilly got Zepbound approved for weight loss officially, and they released a coupon, so it took the cost down on that considerably. And Lorraine and I began to discuss what we wanted to do. Talking about the side effects that first month, really, I could feel the medication, but I only had minor constipation and a consistently dry mouth, which honestly, those things have been true on every dose and all the medications that I've taken. After a checkup with my primary care physician and a coupon from Eli Lilly, as I said, we switched from the compounded Tirzepatide to Mounjaro. To give you a concise look at my timeline on the medications, I began my first month on compounded Tirzepatide from the telehealth provider Ivim, manufactured by Hallandale Pharmacy. I then went from the compounded version to Mounjaro and have been on that for the vast majority of the time. Due to shortages, 3 weeks ago, I had to switch back to the compounded version, this time from Mochi. We then found Zepbound, and I'm currently on the 10 milligram dose of Zepbound. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm sure a lot of you are struggling with this as well. What are my observations? What are the pros and cons? What are the pluses and minuses? I want to walk you through both the branded piece and the compounded piece and talk about it. So let's start with the Mounjaro and the Zepbound. The positives, the pros that I see, begin with my physician. So my local physician writes the prescription for it. It's filled at a local pharmacy. Assuming it's all working well and they're in stock, it shouldn't be that hard to get. My local physician works closely with me to track my progress. We discuss when to titrate up. And there's a high level of healthcare and service. Honestly, even on the compounded, we'll continue that. The second piece, and I don't underestimate the value of it, but Eli Lilly is a reputable manufacturer. There is a level of trust because they have invested in the research and the testing, and there's somebody to follow up with, and they're not going away. And there's a certain level of government oversight from the FDA that's higher than it would be anywhere else. Those brands that they sell, Mounjaro and Zepbound, you see them every day. There's people talking about them. The delivery pen is super easy. Here's the Zepbound pen. So Zepbound is Mounjaro, but it was reapproved by the FDA for weight loss. Here's the Mounjaro pen. Get the logo out there, Mounjaro pen. As you can see, they're identical devices. The only thing that changes is the label. For somebody who fears needles, this is about the easiest thing ever. You take the cap off, you twist it, you do the shot. I have another video that actually walks you through the steps of the shot. We'll leave a link to it in the description so you can take a look at that. But this, there's no question about it. It's easy to use and really, again, alleviates some of that fear because you don't see the needle. Now, the negative. The prescription, this is very expensive. So with the coupon, depending on what the coupon is that day and how it works out, it could be $500 to $1,000. It's a lot. Not everybody can afford that. Probably the biggest one right now is, although cost is certainly something we discuss on a monthly basis, is shortages. You can't get it, and it's requiring a lot of work to get. Phone calls, chatting with local pharmacists, going to the Walmarts, the CVS, the Walgreens, you name it. Tracking this stuff down is difficult, and honestly, it's frustrating, and it makes it more stressful than it should have to be. The pen's a lot of plastic. And it's a lot of trash that just seems unnecessary. And honestly, you think, oh, I don't care about plastic. Yeah, screw the environment. It doesn't matter. You still have to dispose of this stuff, and it's more difficult. If you go look at our Sharps bucket, can, whatever it is, these fill up very quickly, and it's a bit of a hassle. So is it the end of the world? No, absolutely not, but it's a consideration. So that's pros and cons for the branded side. Let's talk about the compounded side. And we'll start with telehealth providers. We have used Ivim and Mochi. Lorraine's currently using Mochi. No complaints there. They both work in really a pretty similar way. You go online, you schedule an appointment, you have a telehealth appointment, you fill out a little bit of a form, you talk to a telehealth provider. It's a very brief assessment, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Talk to you about your weight, your health, and so forth. They write a prescription, you pay for it, and it shows up in the mail a few days later. Super easy. I don't know that it could possibly be easier. Both Ivim and Mochi are using the same compounding pharmacies, and many of the telehealth providers are using a short list of pharmacies. The pharmacies are state regulated. Stay tuned, because Lorraine's working on a much more detailed look at compounding that will give you a lot of information on that. Let's look at the pros and cons of the compounded medication. So no shortage, huge pro, right? I can get it, I can order it, it'll be here in a few days. It's cheaper, usually by a lot. So with the coupon, it could be $200 to $700 cheaper. It just depends on who you're using and what day it is. Mochi doesn't have any variation in their pricing structure, so it's $350 regardless of whether it's the lowest dose or the highest dose, which is great. You have some knowledge of where you're going to be. There's a lot less plastic waste because you're using a needle and a vial. It's certainly easier to dispose of. And as I said, it's delivered to your door. It's easy to get. It's reliable. The cons. No matter how much the price helps and the medication working the same way, the cons are there's just a little bit of a nagging feeling that it's a little sketchy. I just don't quite trust it as much. And they're talking about it on the news every day. Now I know can have whatever conversations about what the news says or not, but you still hear it. It's still a little bit of a concern. Your friends still ask you if they know what you're doing. Hey, is that safe? It's certainly not anything that you shouldn't be able to overcome, but it's a little bit of a nagging concern. The injection process with a needle and vial is more difficult and a bit scarier. There's a lot of steps. It's not hard to do by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a little intimidating. The first couple of times I'll tell you I bent a needle once. I don't know. We got through it, and now months into it for Lorraine on this, and I've done it, I guess, 6, 8 times from the compounding. It's not hard, and it's certainly a doable thing. It is not, however, as easy as the pens. There are a few things that I see really as being a push between the two things. So to me, honestly, the medication's effectiveness is almost identical. It's as a sample of one, I can't say there's any different. Maybe if you looked at a larger sample, there would be. I can't say that there is. The side effects for me have been the same across both compounded and branded, and honestly across all dosages. I haven't really had any problems. Same results. My weight loss has been consistent across both branded and compounded, to about 10 pounds on average a month. What would I do if I were starting it today? What would I recommend? Well, there's kind of this play for me. So in my heart, the caretaker, the dad in me, trusts Eli Lilly and Mounjaro and Zepbound more and would really prefer to use them. If I had my druthers and there was no cost difference, Eli Lilly and Mounjaro Zepbound all the way. Until Eli Lilly ends the shortage and lowers the prices, though, we've got to have this conversation. I'll give a shout out to Dave Knapp over at On the Pen. So he has a whole campaign around release of vial. I do believe Eli Lilly should release a version of Zepbound that gives you the option to use a vial and a needle. And honestly, I think they need to get it down to about $100 a month in pricing. So we know it can be done. There's a lot of other data out there that says it can be. And honestly, I firmly believe that they would grow the size of the pie 10,000-fold. A lot more people would take it. Their profits would skyrocket. And it would make loyal customers for life. This is something that we believe, Lorraine and I, we may be on for life, and that's okay if it helps us be healthier. Again, shout out to Dave Knapp on the YouTube channel On the Pen and his whole #Release the Vials campaign. If you're TikToking, Snapchatting, whatever, hashtag it. Maybe we can get some movement there. So I told you about my heart. Well, my head and my wallet recognize that the compounded is a significantly cheaper price, significantly easier availability, with the same results and the same side effects. So the smart answer is compounded Tirzepatide. Today, I'm on Zepbound. Tomorrow, probably compounded, but who knows? Stay tuned and check back in with us on the Downsized, and you can see where we are in our journey. So if you'd like a deep dive into telehealth and compounded, make sure to check in, as Lorraine will release that video in the next few weeks and tell you all about the nuts and bolts of her experiences, as well as some of the details on compounding and telehealth. My name is Christopher Durham, and this has been the Downsized.